Hi, my name is Joseph Clough and I'd like to welcome you to this introduction to NLP. NLP is a great way that allows you to begin to change your internal mindsets, to change your internal state, your behaviors, and therefore your results in life. And equally important, it can give you the tools to help others to be able to live the life they want to. Now, my purpose behind designing this introduction to NLP audio program is that hopefully I can give you a good grounding of what NLP can do, so that you really begin to resonate with this information and begin to see how you can actually, if you utilize these tools, begin to make the changes or get the results that you really want out of life. Now, before I get into the heart of what NLP is about, I'd like to give you some background information of how I got introduced to NLP and where I am right now as an individual in the field of NLP. And I can recall back as a child where I just didn't feel confident. I remember being in situations, whether they be new or big group situations, where I'd feel anxiety. I'd have a low self-esteem, lots of limiting thoughts in my head of what I didn't want to happen in situations, how I didn't want to look like a failure, or how I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of people. And it really held me back. It got to the point where even when talking to close family members, I found that even a struggle, where the words which will come out will be just one or two words, like, "How's your day today, Joe?" It was okay. What did you do? Not much. And it really began to stop me be the person I wanted. And that really carried on throughout school. Although being very confident in my close group of friends, but in new situations, I'd feel very withdrawn, very quiet, and extremely shy. To the point if I felt as I was in the spotlight, I'd begin to go bright red, feel really warm inside, and I just felt like I had to get out of that situation. I even recall after leaving college at 17 that I got my first job, or I was going for my first job in insurance. And I knew that I had to make a really good impression, but I knew that this blushing, this insecurity, was holding me back. I knew if I got in that situation, I'll just be shy, insecure, and blush. And for job interviews, you just can't do that. And at that time, my father, Paul Clough, was getting into NLP and hypnosis. And he taught me a profound technique of NLP, which is called anchoring, where I could literally change my internal state from being very warm or very anxious into a cool, calm, confident state of mind. And I remember going into that interview. I felt those familiar feelings. My heart was going. I could feel the heat beginning to just increase inside my neurology, my mind and my body. And then I thought, let's turn on this technique. And I turned it on and I couldn't believe how cool and confident I began to feel. It was like a new feeling inside of me began projected out into this interview room. And I even noticed the interviewers beginning to change the way they were reacting to me. And that really showed me that you can make these changes. Now, since then, when I got the job going into insurance, after about 8 months, I was overworked, very bored, and just not being paid that well. I thought, I'm just not happy in my life. And then Paul, my father, he said, go on this course and just see what happens. If anything, it'll be a week away where you can just learn a bit about yourself, learn a few techniques, and reflect upon if this is the right job for me. Now, I remember my first journey going to this course. I was living in Cambridge at the time in the south of England, and I had to travel way up north. And I only had a real small car, and it was my biggest journey I've ever been on. I've never really been out of about a half hour, hour away outside of Cambridge. I know, very sheltered life. But when I got on this journey, I thought, this is big. I knew that I had to learn something here, or I really wanted to get something from this investment I was making. And as usual, those familiar thoughts of doubt, insecurity, and thinking that what would happen if I really don't get what I wanted from this course began to creep in. as well as the doubts of what the people may be like on this course. Now, there's a bigger stigma about hypnosis and maybe a little bit about NLP, but mainly hypnosis, where you think, what are these people really like? And we've seen all the comedy shows or the stage hypnosis, and some of them can be a bit quirky and a bit weird, or the perception of being that way. But when I got on a course, I felt so comfortable, and I felt so right that I was in the right place to be at that moment. And I knew that there was something to learn here. And I remember on my last day, when I was actually travelling back down south to the south of England and in Cambridge, and I thought to myself, this is what I want to do. This is something which really resonates with me and really gives me that inner fulfillment for helping others. Although knowing NLP can be used in a wide variety of applications, whether it be in sales, business, health, relationships, sports, you name it, you can really begin to map it over, let alone for yourself. But I knew that I really wanted to help people. And from that moment on, I thought, I can't be doing this job of insurance, which I just didn't feel happy with. So I took the plunge at a young age of 18, saying, there's what I want to do, I'm going to go straight for it. I knew it in my mind that this is what I've got to do to be the real me. And now since that time, I've been in the game for over 7 years now. I'm a trainer of NLP. I'm a trainer of hypnosis and various other techniques. And I have to say it's truly transformed me, because those moments in the past where I couldn't talk in front of 3 new people, I now teach sometimes 30 plus people, and I feel so confident and so calm that I actually thrive being in the spotlight. A complete difference from where I used to feel hot, warm, and begin to feel doubt and begin to blush in that situation. So at first hand, I've really begun to utilize what NLP can do for me. So let's think about what NLP is. Well, it stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And at this stage, we kind of go, what? What's neuro-lingua programming? What's all that about? So let's just break it down a little bit. So neuro. Neuro stands for the nervous system, and through which our experience is processed via our 5 senses. So we got our visual, our auditory, our hearing, our kinesthetic, our feeling, and also our olfactory, our smell, and gustatory, our taste. But I really like to think of the neuro side being about how we experience our life, because we have our beliefs, our values, our memories, our emotions, and really how we perceive what our reality is, how we have a connection with the external world and the people around us. We also have linguistic. Linguistic is obviously our language, even our non-verbal communication, that through which our neurorepresentations are coded, ordered, and given meaning to. So you could say that our linguistic is how we communicate at a conscious level and also a unconscious level. And then we have the programming. Now, programming to me really means retraining. The ability to discover and utilize the programs that we run in our mind and in our neurological systems to achieve our specific and desired outcomes. In other words, NLP is how we use the language of the mind to consistently achieve our specific and desired outcomes. Now, of course, we can work with NLP in many fields of business and also many areas of our life. But something that really hits home to me when I think about NLP is that if we had conscious control of our life, or if we had conscious control of our issues, our problems, our internal conflicts, then we'd let them go by now, wouldn't you? Because if you had the control, the ability to change them, you'd consciously say, I don't want to do this smoking behavior. I don't want this depression. I want to get more sales instead. I don't want these doubts. I want the perfect relationships. But because we don't consciously change, or we can't consciously change those issues, to me it must mean that the unconscious mind is running the thoughts and the behaviors, or we could say the problems or issues that we can't stop ourselves. Now, NLP is a tool of how we can communicate at a conscious and unconscious level where we can begin to resolve those issues. So what is the unconscious mind? Because we know what we're consciously aware of. We're consciously aware of our life. But what is this unconscious part of us which seems to be running issues or problems in our lives? Well, to me, the unconscious mind is everything that you're not in control with in some way. So your unconscious mind runs the nervous system. Your unconscious mind runs many habits and behaviors. For example, for those who drive, when you first learnt to drive, I bet you thought like me, what the hell do we do here? I got my gears, my clutch, my mirrors, let alone looking out for the people on the outside of the car. It was such a consciously overwhelming process. But seemingly enough, after a series of lessons, or for some maybe a few months or maybe longer, but after a while you began to become more natural at it, more competent at the experience of driving. To the point where maybe now when you drive from A to B, maybe from your home to work, that you don't even think about driving. You go throughout your day, maybe in the car, and you think, I don't remember my journey. I don't remember stopping at the traffic light. You kind of worry a little bit. You think, did I hit someone? But of course you didn't. Your unconscious mind has been doing the process for you. Yes, you're consciously aware, but you can consciously think about the radio, where you're going, what you're about to do for the rest of the day, but your unconscious mind is keeping you safe, and it runs the behavior of driving, especially after you've done something for that a period of time. And even if you don't drive, you may recall, or maybe not, when you began to first walk. And even if you think about it now, seeing a child beginning to take its first steps, it kind of plods along very robotically, and the child will fall, get back up and give it another go. And you can see that they're really consciously trying to put the left foot, the right foot, the left foot, all in that real synchronized order to get maybe 5 yards, and then they'll fall over. But after a while, you see that child becoming more natural at the process. And then, maybe after a certain period of time, and especially now as adults, we walk effortlessly. We can walk from down the road and not even thinking about our feet, our legs. We just seem to think it and we go where we want to go. And to me, that seems quite a wonderful process for the body to run for you. So we could say anything that you do for a period of time, consistently over time, your unconscious mind, your neurology, becomes ingrained so it does it naturally for you, and it takes the pressure off you so you don't have to do it. Now that's an amazing job for your unconscious mind to do. But on the other hand, for those who smoke, if you smoke for a period of time, in certain situations, whether it be drinking, I've smoked before, I can admit to that, we actually quit through this. I remember when I used to smoke, I used to really enjoy it, and when I used to drink, in socializing situations. The lager and the cigarette used to go hand in hand. Or if I was very stressed, you'd be like, oh, I need a cigarette. And it sounds quite pathetic, but it seems also very natural. Or maybe in boredom situations. Or maybe in situations where you've done a good job. Or maybe they're all symptoms of, wow, I smoked, but I know they're fairly common as well. But if you do the smoking behavior for a period of time, your unconscious mind gets used to the hit of nicotine, and also the neuroassociation to stress, to boredom, to enjoyment, to socializing, and it just seems to take it on and think, oh, I need a cigarette in those certain situations. And maybe food is very similar for those people who may be eating a little bit too much. That you get stressed, you eat like a comfort food. Or stress. There's so many situations where the body becomes ingrained to thinking that way. And it's not only just for what we call behaviors or minor behaviors like that. What about the psychology of depression, of anxieties, of fears and phobias, that the body begins to run the depressive behavior, the limiting thoughts, the limiting belief for such a long time that it just becomes ingrained in the neurology, that the body becomes so used to it that it thinks it's natural to have that limiting thought about life, to think that we're not worthy, we're not good enough, or the phobia of something, that every time we see that thing or we go in that situation, bang, our body gets that link. Think, I don't like this situation, we gotta get out of here. Now your body does these over a period of time. It can take the one event sometimes to learn something like that, especially phobias, usually a one-time specific event, and it just gets used to it. But I also stress, the body's doing everything for a purpose. It always tries to help you, like the driving, like the walking. And even things like fears and phobias, they're there to protect us. Predominantly, that's what they're there for. Okay, they may not necessarily do it that efficiently, but ultimately, it gets us out of that situation of what we think is fearful. Although it may seem illogical to the conscious mind, unconsciously, it's a real powerful thing that we've got to get out of there. And even things like anxieties. The mind is trying to think of all the things you don't want to happen in that situation, which causes us to get anxious. And even if we take the things like comfort eating or smoking under stressful situations, or being able to relax in situations, think about it. The intention for comfort eating, is to get comfort. The intention to maybe smoke in stressful situations is to de-stress. It seems to be intentionally really powerful and positive for us. Unfortunately, the body doesn't always get the behavior right. The intention does not match the behavior or the outcome we're producing in our life. And the way that I see, when I see people from one-to-one, I see that they're out of rapport with their own body, their own unconscious mind. Because imagine if you had the most amazing rapport with your unconscious mind. Surely that communication, the conscious mind, will literally get your unconscious mind to change it. Unfortunately, we're usually a bit disconnected from our unconscious mind, and it seems to have a mind of its own, the unconscious mind of its own. And NLP itself allows us to get in touch with the unconscious mind, to break those habits, to let go of addictions, resolve internal conflicts, to live the life that we wish to let go of the issues that really hold us back. And going back to how I was, very, very anxious or nervous around the people, I utilize the processes of myself that now I can really project my voice when I'm training people. When I'm doing guest speaking, I really thrive off being in the spotlight. So I know firsthand of how it can change people's lives, especially when I'm working with people. I've resolved phobias within 5 minutes. And I say the process of NLP. I am kind of like the tour guide, really. I show the person of how to change their life. They do all the change work. Depression and anxieties just go within 1 hour. They can just learn, because when your unconscious mind knows the communication, knows that what it's doing is in conflict with yourself or others, it has to reevaluate its behavior and get that internal congruency. I'd like to ask you a question, if I may. In your life right now, or maybe in the past, I'm sure on the one hand you say to yourself, well, Joseph, I want to live the life that I want. I want maybe all the money. I want all the success. I want all the security. Maybe that you want all the perfect relationships in your life. Maybe the soulmate of your dreams to come into your life and have that most wonderful synergy in that relationship. Maybe you want that perfect health. The health which allows you to live the life that you want. Maybe you want to be able to have the perfect behaviors, the perfect beliefs for self-esteem. And maybe those people may want contentment, the inner fulfillment, the real happiness in their life. But no matter how much we want these things, whether they be materialistic, whether they be internally, no matter how much we want them, there's usually something stopping us inside. And to me, I don't give in to the excuse of external situations. That's just my thing. I always think there's a way of achieving if you really want it. So no matter how much you want these things, there's always something stopping us. And to me, That is, sometimes that thing can be a limiting thought. A limiting belief like, well, I really want a perfect relationship, but I just don't feel good enough. Or I'm not worthy to have that great relationship. Or maybe I want that perfect job, that career, but I just don't think I can get it. I'm just not able to achieve things in life. Life just doesn't work out for me that way. Or maybe you have those internal thoughts just saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You're not good enough for that. Or maybe you have that feeling of maybe sadness or anger or fear or guilt or hurt because of past experiences. Maybe you have that internal dialogue telling you that no matter how much you want these things, it just doesn't work. It's just not going to happen for me. Or maybe, but what if you do get that? What problems may come of those things? And to me, that's the thing which stops us. The thoughts, the beliefs, our behaviors, our mindsets, our internal dialogue, our feelings in life. Because I know for a fact, if you were 100% congruent in being happy, contented, confident, having a high self-esteem, being able to generate the behaviors that you really want in life, that you feel as if you cleared all these issues right now from your neurology in your life, I really believe you'll be 100% aligned. But no matter how much we want these things on the one hand, on the other there's something holding us back. Well, the art and science of NLP will allow us to have that freedom and that choice back again, to give us the ability to control the things in ourselves and also the situations in our life in the most positive way. Because imagine this, if you will. Imagine that both of those hands were just one whole. In a sense, on the one hand you really wanted that, but on the other hand, which has been holding you back, really wanted that too. Surely you'd be 100% aligned. 100% congruent. And if you are 100% at everything that you go for, at a conscious and unconscious level, I truly believe nothing can stop you, because you'll keep on persisting, you'll keep on having the action, the tools, the mindset, the resources to achieve your desired outcome. NLP is a great way of changing the way we see things in our lives, changing our internal feelings to get access and gain the resources that you fully deserve to have right now. And I'd like to ask you one more question before the end of this audio program. What value would it be to you, your life, your relationships, your health, and your career to achieve your desired goals in life? What would it allow you to do? Where would it allow you to take you? How would it allow you to experience life? And what would it be worth to you to know the tools to do that? Because I sincerely believe that we do have issues in our life. But I also sincerely believe that we have the ability and the opportunity to make those changes too. And I think when we make the first step in wanting to make the changes in our lives, the first step of action, knowing our outcome and going for it and persisting at it, I know for a fact that you can achieve all that your heart desires. And I think to me, that is the biggest thing that NLP has given me. It has opened up doors to me, doors of the mind, if you will, to be able to seek and see beyond my boundaries, to keep on pushing upon them and pushing them out further and further and breaking through them to become my true potentiality. And since then, in my own personal life, I have created the most wonderful relationships, developed and continue to grow my businesses, to experience my true nature of wanting to learn and help many people. I really hope this introduction to NLP has really give you a bit of information about what it can do, the science behind it, how we can have an effect on our mind and therefore our physiology. But if you change the mind, you change your results. therefore your reality. And finally, if I can be of any assistance in achieving your goals, your outcomes, to be the real you and live the life that you really deserve, feel free to give myself or my assistants an email or a phone call. And we can do our very best to help you in any way we can. And continue signing up to our newsletters and listening to these free audio programs so you can begin to be the way you wish to. And you can visit the website www.empoweringsounds.com or primedirectives.co.uk. That's www.primedirectives.co.uk. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.